What's going on, everyone? My name's Tenebris, and today the team at Inflexion dropped a video on what we can expect to see in the upcoming 0.2 update. And it sounds like some pretty awesome stuff is on the way here. So today I thought, let's have a breakdown on the upcoming changes and why this is going to be a huge update for the game. From crafting from storage to new weapons and some excellent sounding crafting changes overall, this update is aiming to resolve a ton of community issues, and it seems to be on the right track to do so. There's quite a bit to go over, so first up, let's talk about crafting from storage. Crafting from storage is coming in 0.2, and I think it'll be a highlight addition to the game. The way it works is that crafting benches will now have a range around them that can use chests that are nearby when crafting items. This is going to merit us coming up with some solutions to having a great storage setup from crafting, but overall will cut down a ton of the running around you have to do currently while you are crafting items. There also looks to maybe be queued crafting coming too. In the shot we see of crafting from storage, we could see the queue on the right hand side, as well as grenades, which we'll talk about soon, but man, even if it doesn't come in this update, it's great to see the devs working on this quality of life sort of stuff. We then have changes to how stats are applied to items. A big key thing here, stacking similar stats is coming back to the game, which is great. I didn't hate the new system after using it for a while here, but overall the old system was much better, and I'm excited to see how this will affect crafting our gear overall. Now, when you stack stats, there will be a soft cap, where you start to get diminishing returns on a particular stat, and then a hard cap, where the stats will no longer increase. On top of that though, the devs did us one better, and you can now apply stats that an item wouldn't have normally. So you can make a stealthy sniper rifle, and likely a ton of other cool options that we haven't had a chance to use yet. I'm really stoked to dive into these crafting changes next week. Then for some combat changes and additions, there will be two new bound types added to the game, the Aegis and the Breaker bound. The Aegis uses a shield and looks to be a tank type enemy, kinda similar to the brutes we've fought with the giant hammers. And then the Breaker, which is a dude with a cannon strapped to his back. They'll likely be pretty tough enemies when you're in higher realm difficulties. But on top of the two new types, there will also be some changes to our existing bound. The Lamplighter will have a new ranged attack, Bombardiers will drop more normal grenades that don't do an area of effect damage, and then Dark Weavers will buff enemies instead of making them immune to damage. Even more exciting than the new enemies and enemy changes though, are the changes we're seeing for our end of combat. Firstly, 3 new weapons are coming to the game. The devs are looking to flush out the early game options with the introduction of grenades, throwing knives, and a frickin' blunderbuss. I wonder how the blunderbuss will be, if it'll be just early game or if there will be more options for it, but with grenades and hopefully throwing knives, it seems there will be a few levels of them that we could probably pick up from various traders in the game, with grenades following a simple to prodigious scheme, similar to how potions work. Then we'll also have new combat abilities for the knife, sickle, and hammer. The knife will have a new parry ability, the sickle has this crazy boomerang throw thing, and the hammer has a flurry attack. All will be a lot of fun to experiment with alongside the next change that's coming here too. Dodging will be reworked. Instead of being a weapon ability, it now will be available at all times, which will be really good for two-handed weapons, as blocking is much more situational than dodging. And with combat having new abilities, it'll be cool to see how this all interacts. This all will come together for a really interesting change overall to combat, and I'm excited to see how this will all play out. We'll then be getting a bunch of stat changes, from stats being combined for an easier time crafting gear, to certain more confusing stats being removed, like stamina efficiency, and irrelevant stats like your range rating on firearms. We'll be looking more closely into this when the update drops, but alongside the return of stacking stats, I think we'll have a lot more options to choose from when crafting our gear overall. It just sounds like a much more free system. This was a small mention for the stat changes, but I think it'll have a huge impact. We're seeing a fix for magic damage scaling, where damage amounts were way lower than they should be, so magic might become extremely powerful here in the update. I'll likely do a comparison in my update video of damage numbers from 0.1 here to 0.2. Then there was a really interesting explanation of how the developers prioritize issues, as well as how they're looking into increasing our build limits for structures, and also that offline mode is coming along here, but it will take a bit more time, as the game runs kinda differently than most with how it saves your data. I'll have the devlog video linked in the description just in case if you want to hear this stuff in full detail there. A nice little note from this section though was that the bug in how augments are displayed will be fixed, which will make things much easier to manage when decorating your builds and crafting stations. Now, another exciting thing from the devlog was hints towards the future of Nightingale here. The dev team is currently working on new biomes, creatures, and building tile sets for us to use in the future with a major update. We don't know when that will drop, but we'll start learning more this summer. Personally, I'm really hoping for a cold or winter type biome, get ourselves set with the basic biomes before we maybe move on to crazier biome types. Plus, it would give us a chance to use the reworked cold and hot resistances. But between now and then, we'll have a few more updates along the way that are the same size as this one, where we'll see maybe new bound types or weapons added. And I'm stoked for what's in store. This game has a ton of potential, I think. If you're excited for Nightingale's future too, maybe consider subscribing to stick around, as I plan to cover it all here on my channel. But for now, thank you for watching, stay tuned for next week's update, and I will catch you all in the next one. Until then, peace.